Are Jungkook's earrings and lip piercing just fashion, or a quiet declaration that the golden magne era is officially over? What happens when a single glint of metal on an idol's face suddenly feels louder than a comeback stage, more provocative than a chart-topping single, and more emotionally charged than any press statement? Why did Jungkook's earrings and lip piercing, details so small, almost intimate, ignite one of the most heated conversations in the global K-pop fandom right now? And most importantly, what is Jungkook really telling the world through this visual choice? A mature fashion evolution after military service, or a deliberate signal that he is no longer bound to the image that defined him for more than a decade? The moment Jungkook appeared in the Elle Korea Digital Magazine edition, rendered in ultra-crisp 4K resolution that left no detail untouched, the internet froze and then exploded. Fans did not just see Jungkook. They examined him. They zoomed in. They paused. They replayed. They noticed everything. The cream-colored tailored suit. The calm, yet piercing gaze. The classical European interior accented by golden lion statues. And then, inevitably, their eyes were drawn to the accessories. The earrings that framed his face, and the lip piercing that subtly but unmistakably altered the emotional temperature of the image. Was this still the same Jungkook the world once called the pure magne? Or was this something else entirely? From the first hours after the images circulated on social media platform X through the influential fan archive account at Archive4JK, reactions poured in by the thousands. Likes surpassed 5,000 almost instantly. Reposts multiplied. Views climbed into the tens of thousands. Yet beyond the numbers, something deeper was happening. Fans were not merely admiring the photos. They were interpreting them, reading them like a visual manifesto, dissecting every frame as if it contained hidden messages. Why did a lip piercing matter this much? In K-pop, accessories are never just accessories. They're symbols. They are carefully chosen elements that communicate identity, transformation, and sometimes rebellion, especially when worn by an artist whose image has been meticulously curated since adolescence. Jungkook debuted as the youngest member of BTS, the magne whose youthful charm, humility, and almost boy-next-door innocence became part of the group's emotional narrative. For years, fans watched him grow up in real time, from a shy teenager to a global superstar. That history does not disappear overnight. When Jungkook returned from military service and re-emerged not just musically but visually transformed, the response was bound to be intense. This simply what adulthood looks like on him. Many longtime fans argue exactly that. To them, the earrings and lip piercing are not shocking but inevitable. They see a man who has completed military service, who has lived outside the idol bubble, and who is now reclaiming his body and image on his own terms. In this reading, Jungkook's look is not a rejection of the past, but a natural continuation of growth. The boy became a man. The magne became an adult artist. The accessories are just visual punctuation marks in a sentence that has been forming for years, yet others sense something more deliberate, almost confrontational in its subtlety. Why now? Why this styling? Why allow the lip piercing to be so visible in a luxury fashion editorial meant to reach both Korean and global audiences? Industry observers point out that Elle Korea is not an accidental platform. As one of South Korea's most prestigious fashion magazines, Elle Korea has long positioned itself at the intersection of luxury, culture, and global influence. Featuring Jungkook in a digital edition optimized for ultra-high-resolution viewing is itself a statement. This is not casual content. This is curated imagery designed to be scrutinized, and scrutiny is exactly what happened. The 4K quality of the images meant that nothing was softened or hidden. The texture of the suit fabric, the gentle lighting on his skin, the precise placement of each accessory, all of it was visible. Fans could see the lip piercing clearly, not as a fleeting stage moment, but as a stable element of his visual identity. That clarity intensified the conversation. It was no longer speculation. It was evidence that Jungkook signaling that he is done being framed as innocent. For a portion of the fandom, the answer feels uncomfortably close to yes. The term magne polos, long associated with Jungkook, carries emotional weight. It represents nostalgia, protection, and a shared memory of BTS's early years. Letting go of that image feels, to some, like losing a piece of the past. The lip piercing, in this context, becomes more than metal. It becomes a boundary marker, a quiet but firm declaration that Jungkook's self-image has shifted. But is that necessarily a loss? Or is it a gain? From a fashion and cultural perspective, Jungkook's accessories align him with a broader global trend of male artists reclaiming adornment as a form of self-expression rather than rebellion. Earrings and piercings are no longer fringe statements. They are mainstream symbols of confidence and autonomy. When worn by an artist of Jungkook's stature, they carry additional weight. They influence trends, inspire imitation, and reshape norms. Entertainment analysts in Seoul have already begun to frame Jungkook's Korea appearance as a pivotal moment in his post-military career. According to industry voices, this is the image of an artist stepping fully into his role as a fashion muse. Jungkook is no longer just wearing clothes, he is embodying concepts. Designers pay attention to this. Brands take notes. Younger fans absorb the message almost unconsciously. What is that message, exactly? That growth does not require explanation. That identity can evolve without apology. That Jungkook, while still deeply connected to BTS and ARMY, is allowed to redefine how he presents himself to the world. The emotional response from fans reflects this tension between attachment and acceptance. Scroll through the replies under @archive4jk's thread, and the spectrum becomes clear. Some comments marvel at how mature Jungkook looks, how the accessories enhance his charisma. Others confess feeling attacked in the best way possible, overwhelmed by how different yet familiar he appears. A smaller but vocal group expresses unease, asking whether this marks a permanent shift away from the Jungkook they once knew. But was that Jungkook ever static to begin with? BTS's narrative has always been about growth, change, and self-discovery. Jungkook himself has spoken in the past about wanting to explore different sides of his artistry. His solo work, including releases like Golden, already hinted at a more complex, adult emotional palette. The Korea photos simply make that evolution visible in a way that music alone sometimes cannot. There is also the question of control. For years, idol images have been shaped by agencies, expectations, and public projections. Post-military service often marks a shift in that dynamic. Artists return with a stronger sense of self, a clearer understanding of their boundaries, and a desire to participate more actively in how they are perceived. Jungkook's accessories, in this light, can be read as an assertion of agency. This is how I choose to be seen. Why does that feel so powerful? Because Jungkook is not just any artist. He is one of the most recognizable faces in global pop culture. When he changes, the ripple effects extend far beyond fashion forums. They reach into conversations about masculinity, maturity, and the right of public figures to evolve without being frozen in time by audience expectations. Korea's silence on the symbolism only fuels speculation. The magazine has not issued an official statement explaining the styling choices, nor has Jungkook publicly commented on the accessories. That absence of explanation becomes its own kind of statement. The images are allowed to speak for themselves, and they are speaking loudly. The golden lion statues in the background, often interpreted as symbols of strength and royalty, contrast with the intimate vulnerability of Jungkook's gaze. The classical interior suggests tradition, while the modern styling disrupts it. Earrings and a lip piercing against a tailored suit create tension between elegance and edge. This visual duality mirrors Jungkook's position in the industry, rooted in a legacy, yet constantly pushing forward. Is this the face of BTS's next chapter? Many fans believe so. As BTS members continue to reunite after military service, each individual reintroduction carries symbolic weight. Jungkook's appearance sets a tone. It suggests that the group's future will not be about reverting to old images, but about integrating past identities with present realities. SEO-wise, it is impossible to ignore how effectively this moment has captured global attention. Searches for Jungkook lip piercing, Jungkook Korea 4K, and Jungkook new image after military have surged. Media outlets worldwide are picking up the story, not because of scandal, but because of symbolism. In an era saturated with content, Subtle transformation becomes newsworthy, and perhaps that is the biggest surprise of all. There was no controversy manufactured, no dramatic announcement, no shocking behavior. Just a look, just accessories. Just Jungkook standing calmly in front of a camera, letting the world draw its own conclusions. Oh, what are we really reacting to? Maybe it is not the earrings or the lip piercing themselves, but what they force us to confront. The reality that Jungkook is no longer a projection of our nostalgia. He is an adult artist shaping his own narrative. And that realization, for better or worse, carries emotional weight. As the images continue to circulate and discussions evolve, one question remains unresolved, hanging in the air like the glint of metal catching studio light. When Jungkook looks in the mirror today, who does he see? And are we finally ready to see him that way too? The L Korea Digital Edition is available through official platforms, and the original 4K image thread can still be accessed via @archive4jk on X. But the conversation it sparked is far from over. Because in the world of BTS, even the smallest detail can signal the beginning of a new era, and this time, it might be written not in lyrics, but in silver and steel. And if this really is the beginning of a new era, why does it feel so unsettling and so irresistible at the same time? Because Jungkook's earrings and lip piercing are not just being looked at, they are being felt. They trigger memory. They awaken attachment. They challenge the quiet agreement that fans once made with the image of the golden magne they grew up with. And perhaps that is precisely why this moment refuses to fade from the timeline. Every refresh of social media seems to return to the same close-up shots, the same still frames, the same slow-motion screen recordings. Fans are not scrolling past them. They are lingering. They are zooming in on the curve of the lip ring, on the way the earring catches the light, on the calm confidence in Jungkook's expression. There is no forced seduction here, no exaggerated performance. That restraint makes it more powerful. Why does restraint feel louder than provocation? In the language of fashion editorials, subtlety often speaks the strongest. Jungkook does not pose aggressively. He does not smirk. He does not lean into shock value. Instead, he stands composed, almost serene, as if fully aware of the conversation that will erupt and fully unbothered by it. That composure reframes the accessories. They are not asking for approval. They are stating a fact. This is who I am now. For fans who have followed Jungkook since his teenage years, this realization lands emotionally. Many remember his early interviews, his shy smiles, his tendency to hide behind older members. Seeing him now, adorned with accessories once considered too bold for idols, creates cognitive dissonance. But that dissonance is not negative by default. It is the feeling of witnessing growth in real time. Still, the question persists. Why do some fans interpret this as a message rather than a mere style choice? Because Jungkook has always communicated carefully. He is not known for reckless image shifts. When he changes something, it is usually intentional. Hairstyles, tattoos, fashion silhouettes, each evolution has historically aligned with a broader phase of his life or artistry. The lip piercing, therefore, feels like a continuation of a pattern rather than a random experiment. And context matters. This is not pre-military Jungkook. This is not Jungkook in the middle of non-stop promotions. This is Jungkook after service, after absence, after reflection. The world waited for his return, and he returned visually transformed, but not dramatically altered. That balance is what makes the moment resonate. This Jungkook reclaiming authorship over his own image. Many cultural commentators believe so. In K-pop, the transition after military service often becomes a psychological reset. Artists come back with a different relationship to fame, privacy, and self-expression. Jungkook's accessories may symbolize that shift, a quiet reclaiming of the body as personal territory rather than public property. The fan discourse reflects this tension vividly. On one side are voices celebrating freedom, calling the look liberating, authentic, and long overdue. On the other are those who feel emotionally unprepared, admitting that the image challenges their internalized version of Jungkook. Between these extremes lies a growing acceptance that both reactions can coexist. Isn't that the hallmark of a meaningful cultural moment? The L Korea shoot itself amplifies this reading. The luxurious, almost timeless setting contrasts with Jungkook's contemporary styling. It feels deliberate, as if to say that while the environment honors tradition, the subject inside it belongs firmly to the present and the future. The golden lion statues loom behind him like guardians of legacy, while Jungkook stands in front, calm and self-possessed, wearing symbols of personal choice.